Part 82. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 838. Please remember the URL of this website. Please scold Zhang Yuzheng and Zhao Yulan in your QQ group. She is full of confidence again. As long as Zhang Yuzheng hits a wall with Zhao Yulan, he will definitely come back to her. But by then, Zhang Yuzheng will be married for the third time. Well, 3 marriages will be 3 marriages. What's the big deal? Zhang Meixiang glanced at her mother in the air from time to time while she was reading, and found that she was gritting her teeth for a while. One moment he was vicious, and the next he was giggling. I shuddered unconsciously. At this rate, my mother is not far away from becoming a psychopath. Is she going to have her neck wiped while she is asleep one day? Thinking like this, she could no longer read the words in the book. She simply sat next to Che Yelai and asked in a low voice, "Mom, what are you thinking about?" Che Yelai told her daughter what she had just thought of. Zhang Meixiang secretly sighed. Okay, she was overthinking, otherwise, she really didn't know what to do. Early the next morning, Che Yelai called Yamiru. No matter what, she still wanted to help Zhang Yuzheng and hoped that Zhang Yuzheng would return to her as soon as possible for the sake of her affection. As a result, the person who answered the phone told her that Yamiru was not at home, so she asked when she would be home. The answer she got was that Yamiru was on a business trip and would not be back for a year and a half. Che Yelai was just stunned there. It was too stupid. How could she be on a business trip just like that? But the biggest question right now is, what about where she and her daughter live? Yamiru promised to arrange a better place for the couple before Zhang Yuzheng came back. There is also the life problem of the couple. The daughter no longer goes to work in order to review, and she is also unemployed now. She still has some money on hand, but it will be spent in 2 months. What will she do then? Without the temptation of reinstatement, she was not sure whether Zhang Yuzheng would come back to her. In an instant, she felt that her sky was falling. After returning home in a daze, she fell on the bed, and Che Yelai fell asleep. Zhang Meixiang is reviewing her homework. She is not surprised by her mother's current state. To put it bluntly, her mother is a talkative person. She has never worked seriously in all these years, and now she has suddenly fallen to this point. It's strange to be happy. After lunch, Che Yelai went to the post office to call Yamiru, but the answer she got was exactly the same as in the morning, so she had to go home reluctantly again. When Che Yelai called for the third time, the person who answered the phone asked her to wait. Then, a slightly older male voice came from the other end of the phone. "Hello, I am Yamiru's grandfather, who are you? If you have any questions for her, you can tell me and I will tell her." I. Che Yelai smacked. She was so frightened that she quickly hung up the phone. No matter how stupid she was, she now understood that Yamiru could not save her. This also made her feel real fear for the first time. If the Zhou family did not value Lin Chuxia, they would not treat Yamiru like this. Then, the more she thought about it, the more terrified she became. 3 days later, Chu Xia learned that Che Yelai had committed suicide by taking sleeping pills. Fortunately, she was rescued early, so she didn't feel much. Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe secretly breathed a sigh of relief, even though Che Yelai had harmed them. It was wrong, but they couldn't bear to lose their lives as a result. It happened to be Lin Mengrand's turn again, so he quietly said to Chu Xia, "Your uncle and aunt are really so kind. Even when others shit on their necks, they are still not angry at all. How do you do this?" "It's a habit I've endured for a lifetime." Chu Xia glanced at her lightly. "It seems that you like this feeling, so you can tolerate it in the future. Just get used to it." No, I don't want it." Lin Mengrand waved her hands repeatedly. "I'm just waiting to see Lin Menjai's deformed face." "Huh, The rabbit bites people when it's anxious, not to mention that I'm originally a wolf. Chusia looked at her with a dark look. Are you still a wolf? A sheep in wolf's clothing, right? Of course, compared with my parents, you can barely be considered a wolf. Don't underestimate me, I'm a human being. If you don't offend me, you can do whatever you want. If you really offend me, you'll know how many eyes Lord Ma has. With a cold snort, Lin Mengran raised the corners of her lips. With a sarcastic smile, my sister is still daydreaming there. When she met me yesterday, she told me with a happy face that she and Zhejiang were together and asked me to bless her. Chusia. She really didn't know what to say about this, so she had to be more reliable in her show-off. Isn't it uncomfortable for her to lie in front of the victim? I finally resisted telling her that I am Zhejiang's real girlfriend now. Smiling proudly, Lin Mengran looked at Chusia with a flattering look on her face. To say the least, the person I am most grateful to is you. Well, since I met you, how did I realize that I am so lucky? Chusia smiled and shook her head without saying a word. The main reason was that it was too hard for her to accept these words. It was too arrogant to say that she was the god of luck, but it was wrong to say that it had nothing to do with her. Looking at the matter, Lin Mengran was indeed with her help. Just got together with Zhejiang. Zhang Gejin continued to work in the toy factory. Every time Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe went to the factory, she would hide. Although Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe both emphasized that the past things were over and they would live like fellow villagers in the future. How can she be embarrassed? However, her son Wang Jiangang was quite interesting. Every time he came to see her, he would go to Lin's house after dinner to say goodbye and not go back to school. At first, Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe were murmuring in their hearts, but after getting along several times, they found that he was a rare good boy, honest but not stupid. He came just to show his sincerity and make up for the crimes his mother had committed. Mistake. Exactly 1 month and 10 days after the family moved to the capital in early summer, sister-in-law Yin finally arrived. She came with the Zhou family's army. Mr. Zhou, Mrs. Zhou and Lin Yangkai were all here. Of course, Master Zhou was definitely indispensable. Long. When everyone arrived, before get out of class ended in Chusia, Zhou Mikang volunteered to pick up his little wife. After he went out, Mrs. Zhou looked at Zhao Yulan with a smile. Xiaomi definitely went to school to show off on purpose. Although he didn't say it, I can guess it. He must be afraid that someone will miss him. It's early summer at our house. Zhao Yulan quickly said, and, don't worry, our Chusia is a well-measured child and will never do anything to embarrass the Zhou family. What are you talking about, kid? Old Mrs. Zhou hid it from her dissatisfiedly. If I really doubted our little Chuxia, could I tell you Xiaomi's thoughts so clearly? Of course, Xiaomi didn't have any doubts about Chuxia. He just didn't like other boys to be interested in our Xia. He didn't lack any of the petty qualities of men. Yes, yes. Zhao Yulan nodded repeatedly. What Auntie said is true, but a man will only attach so much importance to this woman when he has this woman in his heart. Xiaomi attaches so much importance to Chuxia, we can only be happy, right Baohe? Yes, yes. Lin Baohe quickly agreed with his wife. Mrs. Zhou and Mr. Zhou Lin Yangkai both laughed. This couple was obviously joking, look at how serious they were. To be continued. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 839. The two chapters come together. It has been more than a month since school started, and everyone has basically adapted to college life. Once the freshness wears off, some students with active personalities begin to form various clubs. There were no entertainment activities in this era. Almost every social organization was quickly filled with registrations as soon as it was established. There was no such thing as popular or unpopular. Chu Xia was not interested in this at all. Therefore, when Lin Mengran, Yang Xiaoli, and others were chattering about this news in her ears, she just listened quietly and did not express an opinion at all. However, a few people mistook her quietness for loneliness. Every time she talked about happiness, they noticed her expression and quickly stopped, seemingly changing the topic inadvertently. Chu Xia couldn't explain to them the real reason why she wasn't interested, so she could only pretend that she didn't notice anything unusual about them. But after this happened too many times, she felt that it wasn't a problem anymore. It can be seen that Lin Mengran, Yang Xiaoli, and Li Xinlai are all very interested in this, but because of her, they are too embarrassed to go to any club organization. She cannot not let others experience and participate just because she has seen too much. Therefore, when the third poetry club was established and students in the class rushed to sign up, Chu Xia also pushed Lin Mengran and others to sign up. "I won't go." Lin Mengran shook her head and refused. "I'm actually not interested in this. Sometimes I mention this matter just to tell you something new." Yang Xiaoli also said quickly, "What's the point? The poems written by many people are really wrong, but they still look complacent. I can't stand it when I am with those people." Li Xinlai quickly answered, "I don't like it either. I never like being in crowds of people. I feel uncomfortable." Wu Jingbo, who has always been relatively indifferent to this, still looked indifferent. "I am even less interested. We are studying medicine, not literature, so why should we be in trouble with ourselves?" Of course Chu Xia could see that Wu Jingbo was really not interested, but the other three people were trying to convince her. She was moved by their loyalty, but this time she really had to make it clear. Fortunately, there were less than 10 people left in the class, sitting sparsely and far away. Chu Xia lowered her voice, "Did you always think that I wasn't interested because I was pregnant and couldn't participate?" Lin Mengran quickly shook his head, No, we know you are really not interested, and we are really not interested either." "Boss." Chu Xia looked at her speechlessly, "I didn't mean to comfort you, I really don't like it, and I won't participate even if I'm not pregnant. If you really don't like it, that's fine. But if you obviously like it but deliberately don't participate because of me, I will feel very guilty. What friends want is to be comfortable with each other. If you continue to be like this, we can still be happy. Get along?" Seeing some hesitation on the faces of a few people, Chu Xia continued, "Sincerity is the most important thing between friends. I've already said this. If you continue to doubt the authenticity of what I said, I will be angry." Then, after hesitating, Lin Mengran looked at a few people, "Are you all interested?" Yang Xiaoli nodded, "I want to try it." Li Xinlai looked like she was struggling, I can do it." "I'm not interested," Wu Jingbo said. Looking at her expression, you can tell that she is really not interested in this matter, and she has shown this before. Chu Xia suggested, "Mengran, Xiaoli, Xinlai, you go and sign up, let Jingbo just go home with me. It's okay for her to go home by herself, but if that happens, her friends will definitely not sign up." Wu Jingbo reached out and pushed a few people, "Don't worry, why don't you worry about me accompanying the youngest?" Now that the conversation has come to this point, the few friends no longer refuse. The main thing is that they are really interested in this new thing. I don't know whether they will be interested in it again in the future. Anyway, they really want to try it now. Also, when they heard the stupid classmates showing off their poems, they really wanted to join in and let them know who has the right to laugh at people. After a few people left, Wu Jingbo looked at Chu Xia, "Youngest, why do I feel that since you came to the capital, you and I have become more and more distant? In the past, you and I were closer than Xiaoli Mengran. It was me. Is there anything you don't like about it?" No, Chu Xia waved her hands repeatedly and looked at her speechlessly. What are you thinking about? I just drag them with me most of the time because I see you are so quiet. If you like, then I'll drag you with me. Really? Wu Jingbo suddenly smiled brightly, looking at you getting closer and closer to them and becoming more and more distant from me. I thought you were planning to abandon me. Chu Xia curled her lips. I mean, you don't need to tease me in such a way, right? As the most favored young lady of the Wu family, do you care about being abandoned by me? Of course, Wu Jingbo nodded affirmatively. You are the most important one among my few friends. Do you think I care about being abandoned by you? Chu Xia looked at her funny. Okay, it's all my fault. I neglected you. Okay, then she raised her eyebrows. I've always been a little confused. What is the purpose of you joining the women's medical team? In order to persuade Jingzhe to formally become a disciple of your grandfather, but now that you are here and so far away, how can you achieve your purpose of getting him to become a disciple? I talked to him before, and he said that he doesn't have that idea now. Wu Jingbo shook his head with a wry smile, and Wu Jingbo looked helpless. Although I don't know him very well, I also know that if I keep guarding there's no point in spending time with him. It's better to learn more knowledge and one day be able to truly stand by his side, or perhaps be able to persuade him at that time. Does your grandpa agree with you switching to Western medicine? He has no objection. He really hopes that I can combine Chinese and Western medicine. After a pause, Wu Jingbo looked at Chu Xia seriously and said, although my grandfather is a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, he really does not reject Western medicine. For some acute diseases, Chinese medicine is indeed not as effective as Western medicine. I have been studying Chinese medicine since I was 5 years old. After more than 10 years, I have accumulated some experience. My grandfather hopes that I will take this opportunity to systematically study Western medicine. What Grandpa hates the most is that he knows everything but everything is loose. Since I really like Western medicine and want to be a doctor who combines traditional Chinese and Western medicine, I can't be half full of Western medicine. Moreover, I also like living with you very much. Since I was a child, I really haven't gotten along with people of the same age. I can take this opportunity to make up for myself. So that's the case, I've always been wondering. Chu Xia laughed, but Jingbo, I particularly like your character of being able to take things up and let go. It's not just me who suffers because I can't afford to let go, but also others. Why bother? Wu Jingbo smiled calmly. To this day, I still think Jingzhe is the best man I have ever seen, but I don't because of this understanding. I would bother him regardless. The relationship between a man and a woman cannot be forced. The way he looks at me is the same as the way he looks at anyone else, so I won't be pretentious. As for you, you will have to take a break from classes for at least half a year. When do you plan to resume classes after giving birth? Should you continue to be on the same level as us or start from the freshman year? It depends on the situation. I'm close to 3 months now, and when school starts next semester, it's almost the due date, which means I definitely won't be able to come to school next semester. My idea was to stay in the capital for confinement, and I could resume classes in 3 months at most. However, I had to discuss this with my elders. After all, they originally wanted me to return to City A. That's my mother-in-law's home base there, and it's an exception for them to agree to let me come to school. When the time comes, I can't let my mother-in-law and old woman come to the capital to accompany me. Also, I am not the only pregnant woman in the Zhou family now. My sister-in-law and third aunt and sister-in-law will give birth one after another during this process, and the elders will have no time to spare even if they want to. However, to them, these twins are different, and I cannot be selfish and just follow my own wishes, so it is too early to make any plans now. I want to wait until I give birth and decide what to do based on the situation. For me, career is very important, or particularly important, because it is the foundation for my parents to be with me in a down-to-earth manner. However, if my relationship with my husband's family is damaged because of my career, I think it is unnecessary. They are sincerely good to me, and I don't want to and cannot hurt this sincerity. You are right to think so. It is rare to meet the right person and the right family. Cherish it. I have no other meaning in asking you. I just want to know your plans. Decide on the notes. How can I help you do it? If you want to continue with our level, then I think you should add audio recording in addition to recording. Then, you should ask your Mr. Joe to help you with the tape recorder now. It's not easy to buy that thing. You have to plan ahead. If you don't plan to follow this level, it doesn't matter. I just need to handwrite notes for you. Chu Xia was stunned for a moment. She didn't expect Wu Jingbo to think so thoughtfully for her. In this era, a tape recorder was indeed a rare thing. Even if Zhou Mikang bought it, he had to make plans in advance. To be honest, she never thought of this, but after Wu Jingbo reminded her, she realized that things were far from as simple as she thought. Her original plan was to take at least a year off after giving birth and have a few friends help her take notes. Then she would take the exam and then continue reading at this level. But after thinking about it these days, she felt that it was a bit unrealistic. After all, this was different from other majors. It was impossible to become a real doctor by just relying on keynotes. However, she can't let her friends remember everything in detail, right? This is not just a day or two, it has been a long time, and she feels embarrassed if others don't bother her. It was also because of this entanglement that she wondered whether she could resume classes after confinement. However, considering the actual situation at her husband's family, she was troubled to death. Wu Jingbo's words reminded her and asked Zhou Mikang to buy a tape recorder and discuss it with the school to help her record every class. Wouldn't it be delayed then? At this time, everyone in the classroom had almost left. Chu Xia excitedly smacked Wu Jingbo on the face. You are so kind. You have solved my big problem. You. Wu Jingbo shook her head in a funny way. It seems that pregnancy can really make a woman stupid. If you were in the past, you would have thought of this way. In early summer, there was a black line all over my head. She didn't expect that it was because she had become more aware of the material scarcity of this era. Some things were difficult to buy in this era, but that didn't mean they weren't available. And she preconceivedly equated the difficulty of buying with the lack of it, but that's not. Didn't you expect that? My mother-in-law and the others are here today. I guess they will be here by now. Come on, go home now. Just tell me what you want to eat tonight. I will definitely satisfy you. Wu Jingbo said matter-of-factly, that's necessary. Is it easy for me to think about this all the time? It's not easy, let's go. As soon as Chu Xia stood up, Huang Sui appeared at the door of the classroom. When he saw her, a smile immediately broke out on his face and he waved to her. Why is she here? Chu Xia whispered, pulling Wu Jingbo out. Wu Jingbo also knew Huang Sui and knew the relationship between Huang Sui and Yamairu. She frowned and unconsciously stepped forward to protect Chu Xia and whispered, stay away from her. Chu Xia looked at her moved and amused, do you think she is Yamairu? Don't worry, she came here in an open and honest manner. She and I don't have any deep grudges, so everything will be fine. Moreover, to be honest, she and I are now considered relatives. She is my second brother's fiancée. If nothing happens, I will have to call her my second sister-in-law before long. The two people spoke very quietly, so what others saw was the two muttering all the way to the door, and they couldn't hear clearly. Hello, Chu Xia greeted Huang Sui politely. Wu Jingbo also said hello. Hello everyone, are you surprised to see me? Huang Sui smiled at the two of them, took Chu Xia's hand affectionately, turned around and walked out. Glancing at Huang Sui who was holding her hand firmly, Chu Xia was speechless. Are she so familiar with her? Then she shivered unconsciously. She really didn't like being held by someone she didn't like. Are you cold? Huang Sui looked at her worriedly. Then let's go to the office to chat. Do you have anything to do with me? Chu Xia stopped. My mother-in-law and the others are here today, and they are probably here by now. I have to go home quickly, otherwise they will be anxious. I just took their car here. Huang Sui smiled at her. I got off the car in front of your house and came to find you. Actually, I don't have anything important to do. I just want to tell you about Zohai. I hope you can pay more attention to your own safety. Chu Xia frowned. Does Zhou Mikang know what you want to say? I'm not sure if he knows, but... Huang Su caressed his forehead, but he has been avoiding me, and I can't say this in front of a lot of people. On the way back to the capital, I wanted to wait for a chance to talk to him, but he deliberately refused to get into the car with me. I couldn't say anything. I had no choice but to come to you. Why don't I just go home with you? It just so happens that I'm going to visit my uncle and aunt, and then we go back to the room and I'll tell you about Zohai in detail. Okay, let's get together, Chu Xia agreed. Anyway, there were so many people at home, and Huang Sui was engaged to Lin Venhang, so it was no big deal to take her home. As a result, they met the teacher Zhangzi halfway. Seeing Huang Sui with Chu Xia, the teacher Zhangzi's eyebrows twisted into a knot. Why are you looking for my wife? Did you see that? Huang Sui looked at Chu Xia. He is so hostile to me. Do you understand now why I didn't tell him? Go home without even looking at Huang Sui. Zhou Mikang took his little wife in his arms, nodded to Wu Jingbo as a greeting, turned around and walked home. Huang Sui smiled helplessly and followed. Wu Jingbo has been sizing her up, and now he is full of doubts. Speaking of which, there is no need for a genius like Huang Sui to be so condescending to Zhou Mixang. Why? Who's here? Chu Xia looked at Zhou Mikang and asked. Grandpa, Grandma, and Mom are here. Dad may be here later. He went to Uncle Long's place to discuss something first, Zhou Mikang said as he took her into his arms. I'll be there after school. Go home quickly. It's not like you don't know what's going on right now, right? Chu Xia nodded quickly, yes. Seeing that his young wife had a good attitude, Zhou Mikang's expression softened a lot. Along the way, many classmates stared at Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang and whispered to each other. Chu Xia whispered, now I am more famous. It's okay. This kind of fame is quite safe. Early summer. Wu Jingbo, who was following behind, looked uncomfortable. The teacher Tongzi, who had always been considered tall in her eyes, was so petty and let her bump into him. Would he be disgusted? Huang Sui's lowered eyes were full of envy. A woman who can be protected by such a man is so happy. Unfortunately, she is not so lucky. Hey. After several people arrived home, the elders were obviously startled when they saw Huang Sui following them, but then they stopped caring about her. After not seeing Chu Xia for such a long time, Mrs. Zhou and Lin Yangkai looked at Chu Xia with confused expressions. It's like looking at a national treasure. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law pulled Chu Xia to sit next to them and asked various questions. Chu Xia knew that the old woman and her mother-in-law really cared about her, so she answered them patiently. In the end, Mr. Zhou couldn't stand it anymore and stared at the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. You guys, if you keep talking about it, if Yulan and Baohe don't want to, can they take good care of their daughters here? We don't mean that. Mrs. Zhou glared at the old man, don't sow discord. Of course we understand the truth, and we understand even more how much Baohe and Yulan value Chuxia. However, there are some words that Chuxia must say with her own mouth. We can rest assured, but you, seeing your grandson's daughter-in-law coming back, you are still sitting there with a golden sword. It's a shame you can sit still. Mr. Zhou. What can he do if he can't sit still? Is it possible that he would pull his grandson-in-law in front of him and say all kinds of things like mother-in-law and daughter-in-law? If that were the case, People would probably think he was an old lunatic, right? At this moment, Mrs. Joe also realized that she had gone too far, so she coughed. I was just making a metaphor, and I didn't say that you have to be like us, but you have to show your concern, right? Mr. Wan chuckled and answered, Lao Joe, no matter what you do at this time, she is not satisfied. It's not that what you did is wrong, it's that you interrupted just now. Mr. Joe nodded in agreement. Yes, yes, you think I have lived so long, why haven't I understood it yet? You still can't understand if you live like this again. Mrs. Joe rolled her eyes at him. I don't think you will follow me in the future. If you don't say anything, you won't be able to help at all, and it will only add chaos. Mr. Joe. What mess did he make? Chu Xia smiled and looked at the elders. Grandpa, Grandma, Mom, Dr. Huang has something to say to me. Can I go upstairs and have a few words with her first? Just say it here. Old Mrs. Joe looked at Huang Sui. Xiao Huang, don't be angry if I say this. We are all Xiao's family members. There is no need to go behind our backs to tell her anything, right? Ours. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 840. 1 Update. Huang Sui looked at old Mrs. Joe with a wry smile on her face. Grandma Joe, why do I feel like I'm rushing to get something? To be honest, I'm really looking for Chu Xia just because I'm afraid that she'll get hurt. I'm definitely not the weasel to chicken you imagined. Pay a New Year call. Although Lin Venhang and I are not married yet, our relationship has been settled, but so far, the only people who accept me are Lin Venhang and Aunt Lin. Since I want to marry into the Lin family, I must integrate myself into the Lin family. For now, Chu Xia is the best neutralizing agent. As long as she accepts me, everyone in the Lin family will accept me. I admit that I am very utilitarian, but my approach does not harm anyone's interests. On the contrary, it will make the relationship between the Lin family harmonious. Overall, it is good, right? Hearing what she said, Mrs. Joe looked better. She turned to look at Chu Xia. Grandma won't stop you, just make your own decision. The old lady always thought about herself. If she and Huang Su fell in love with each other upstairs, even though the old lady wouldn't say anything, it still felt like a slap in the face. Chu Xia just sat there without getting up. Second sister-in-law, if you have anything to say, just say it in front of me. Let's face it, we are all family members, there is nothing to hide behind. Wu Jingbo twisted uncomfortably, and Chu Xia looked at her. Don't remind me, you are also one of my own. This recognition made Wu Jingbo very touched, but also a little uneasy, so she quietly took a look at the faces of the elders of the Zhou family. Wang Zhongliang and Qin Yingfen hid in the kitchen to work when everyone came in, but where are their identities? It's normal to do this. If she leaves rashly, it seems a little inappropriate, but if she stays here, it's a bit disrespectful. What should she do? Seeing Wu Jingbo's worries, Mrs. Joe smiled. Child, Xia said that you are one of the family members, and you are one of the family members. In this family, Xia is the boss, can't you see? Grandma. Chu Xia stepped forward and hugged the old lady's arm, with a look of reluctance. No matter what, I can't be the eldest son in the family, but I know that my friends, grandparents, parents, and parents who I approve of will also approve of it. That's right, our Xia is absolutely unparalleled in terms of recognizing people. The old lady held her granddaughter-in-law in her arms dotingly. Grandma can't compare to her. Grandma, I accept your compliment. Chu Xia turned to look at Huang Sui. Dr. Huang, please speak. Now that the conversation has come to this point, Huang Sui will not push back any further. He looked at a few people seriously and said, Zohai and I have known each other before. He is a very smart person, but he is also very stubborn, as long as he does something right. No one can change it for him. In the past, his mind was all about learning, but Yamiru was determined to do it, and his heart was tied to Yamiru. In his heart, Yamiru was the most beautiful, kind-hearted, and most lovable woman in the world. Of course, this is not what I guessed. When I met him some time ago, he told me personally. To be honest, he scared me at the time. In all the years I've known him, I've never seen him be so interested in a girl. He and OUG can be considered childhood sweethearts. However, he never mentioned OUG in front of me. He is a very arrogant person. Because I have certain talents in medicine, he thinks that he and I are the same kind of people, so he became friends with me. Tell me everything. When he talked about Yamiru, his eyes were dreamy, just like a young boy in love who meets the girl he likes. Because I knew his character, I didn't try to persuade him when he spoke. I originally thought that depending on his temper, the matter would naturally ease away one day when Yamiru no longer wanted him, but I didn't expect that things would develop to this point. I think you can imagine that Yamiru would definitely not say good things about Chuseok in front of him. Anyway, when he told me, he said that everyone thought Yamiru was not good at all. In fact, Yamiru was not good at all. She was harmed by Lin Chuxia. If Lin Chuxia hadn't robbed Joe Mixang, Yamiru would have lived a very happy life. He is the kind of man who can send his beloved to the one he loves for the sake of his happiness. You can call him selfless, or you can call him mentally ill. Anyway, he is such a stubborn person, so when Yamiru was sent away this time, he blamed all the blame on Chuseok. From what I know about him, he will definitely come to settle the score with Chuseok. During this period, you'd better strengthen your security work. Zohai's skills are indeed average, but he is very good at using poison. Chuseok is pregnant now. At this point, Huang Sui spread his hands and said, I don't need to tell you the rest, you also understand, right? Zhou Mikang frowned tightly and said nothing. Mrs. Zhou looked at Huang Sui seriously, my child, I am very grateful that you can say this, but if you could say it before you come, I think my mood will be very different. Grandma Zhou. Huang Sui said with a wry smile, it's not that I didn't want to say it, but I didn't have the chance to say it. I'm not familiar with you, so I wanted to talk to Zhou Mikang. He hid 8 feet away from me. I thought after thinking about it, I thought it would be more appropriate to talk to Chuseok when we arrived at the destination, so I endured it. Zhou Mikang glanced at her and said lightly, no matter what, thank you. Chuseok knew from the look on his teacher's face that he thought it was too late. It was true that the sooner he said it, the safer it would be. Although Huang Sui said there was no chance, everyone with a discerning eye knew that this was clearly done intentionally. This matter is easy to understand. Although Huang Sui plans to marry Lin Venhang, her most important thing should be Zhou Mixang. However, she is a very proud girl. She doesn't want others to think that she has unresolved feelings and thinks about too many things. Avoid it, don't you know, the more this happens, the more it shows her guilty conscience. Chuseok sighed secretly. Should she give a thumbs up for her good luck and give him some wax? The silence in the room was embarrassing. Lin Yangkai coughed lightly and looked at Huang Sui with an affectionate look on her face. Xiaoai, thank you so much. If you hadn't reminded me, the result would have been unimaginable. That. She glanced towards the kitchen and said, it's getting late, let's stay for dinner. Is this for dinner? It's obviously an eviction order, okay. Huang Sui was not stupid, so she stood up immediately. When Auntie reminded me like this, I realized that time flies so fast. Well, I will come to bother you another day, but I won't do it today. I made an appointment with Wen Hang, and we will go home together after he gets off work. Although most of the Lin family does not accept me, I have to work hard. By the way, Chusia. She turned her gaze to Chusia. Can you please say a few nice words for me in front of my grandparents, uncles, and aunts? You also know my situation. I have really reached a dead end, but in generally speaking, I think it is better to be relatives than enemies. Without waiting for Chusia's answer, Zhou Mikang's face darkened. Are you threatening my wife? Huang Sui smiled calmly. I just want to make it clear that this is an exchange of equal value, so that everyone will not misunderstand that I have ulterior motives. No, Chusia also looked at her lightly. Indeed, you are about to become my second sister-in-law. We should be considered relatives, but you also know that my second brother and I are not close at all, let alone you. Closer. What's more, there have been so many barriers between us, which can never be eliminated, so I won't pretend to you. I am very grateful for everything you said today. However, I have no intention of intervening in your marriage to your second brother and your relationship with the Lin family, because I feel that you do not need my help at all. What I am saying now is just to find a suitable reason for you to help me. That's all. I believe that time will tell, even if none of us really believe you now. If you are sincerely good for me, we will see it sooner or later. I like direct people, and I hope that when we get along in the future, you can be more direct and explain to me what you want, so that you don't have to guess around and I don't like it. Huang Sui smiled bitterly. First of all, I must make it clear that I really have no way to integrate into the Lin family. They all reject me. I do have some talent in medicine, but in this area, I really have no extraordinary talent. Of course, I myself feel that it is better to impress the other party with sincerity than asking you to intercede for this kind of thing. You guessed it right. I came to ask you for help even though I knew it, just to dispel your doubts. I'm not a kind person with good intentions. I do have my own purpose in doing things, but this time. Her eyes fell on Chusia's belly. Those are 2 lives, and I don't want to regret it in the future. He won't have that chance. Zhou Mikang looked at Huang Sui with a cold face. Even if you didn't say it, he wouldn't have the chance to get close to Chusia. Do you think I would be so relieved to keep her here? Xiaomi, Lin Yangkai glared at her son, then quickly put on a smile and looked at Huang Sui. We are all very grateful to you for telling us this, really. Mrs. Zhou also echoed her daughter-in-law. Yes, we are very grateful that you are willing to tell us. Zhao Yulan said quickly, my husband and I are also very grateful to you for telling us this. As he said this, he gave Lin Baohe a tug, and Lin Baohe nodded quickly to express his agreement with his wife's statement. Mr. Wan and Mr. Zhou looked at each other without saying a word. All in all, Huang Sui acted in a fair and above-board manner, so she might not have said anything about it. However, Zhou Mikang would have found out her relationship with Zhou Hai sooner or later. If she hadn't told it, she might not have anything to do with Zhou Mikang in the future. Father cooperates, so, they don't want to say the word thank you easily. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 841. 1 Update. The desolate wilderness, the bumpy road, the painful wounds, everything unknown, Yamiru felt an unprecedented fear in her heart. Even if she made a mistake last time and Mr. Ye expelled her from the Ye family, she had never been so scared. Of course, although it was considered an exile that time, her life was not difficult. Her mother secretly gave her a lot of help. Her grandparents and father actually knew about it, but they never stopped her. Therefore, except for being a little sad at the beginning, she was even happier after that than at home. In that unfamiliar place, she didn't need to worry about other people's opinions. She could do whatever she wanted and play whatever she wanted. Most often, she would have 2 boyfriends a month. However, she got tired of living like that after a long time. In the later days, Many things that she originally thought were interesting made her feel extremely boring, and she lost interest in even having a boyfriend. Gradually, she understood the reason why she was tired of that kind of life. She had no relatives, no true lover, no true friends, and no one to share her joys and sorrows with. How could she be truly happy? Although there are no men around her, each of them has the mentality of having fun with her, and she treats each other the same way. They are fresh at first, but after a long time, they naturally become numb. She began to miss the relationship she had thrown away, and the man who cared for her and doted on her wholeheartedly. Therefore, she begged her mother to help her plead with her grandfather and allow her to return to China. It was precisely because she had experienced so many love games and knew how precious that relationship was that she wanted to be with Joe McSang like a man possessed. Even, for him, she did not hesitate to do things she didn't like, marry someone she didn't like, and even suffered herself. But the result, there was a sadness in her heart, and she was once confident. The reluctance I once felt was so ridiculous when I think about it at this moment. It is already March, and a few hints of green appear in the desolate wilderness. But this life full of hope made her jealous. Why was she worse than a blade of grass? Why did she try hard but get nothing and push herself into the abyss? And the key, what pushed her into the abyss was the man she was willing to protect with her life. Why didn't he understand that everything she did was because of love? She didn't believe that there was another woman in the world who could love him as much as she did. If God gives her another chance, she will definitely seize the opportunity she once had and never let Lin Chuxia take away her happiness. They say God is fair, why didn't she notice it? That Lin Chuxia had nothing. But everything is easier than others, why? The more she thought about it, the more unwilling she became. Her heart was burning. Especially when she looked at the increasingly desolate scene outside the car window, her feeling became stronger and stronger. Jump out of the car and run away? This idea only flashed in her mind before she rejected it. First of all, she doesn't have that skill, and secondly, her burns haven't healed yet, and if she continues to struggle, her legs will be really ruined. He glanced at the soldier driving the car and then at the man in the passenger seat. Her mind was racing rapidly. After a while, she sighed dejectedly and gave up her efforts. Along the way, she has tried countless times. Seduction, inducement, are of no use at all. Think about it, if these two people can get her way, how can Grandpa safely let these two people send her to the base? However, that place was a place from which there was no return. Did she really want to leave her life there? Even if she worked hard to survive, her appearance and skin would probably no longer be the same in a year. So what else could she have to fight against Lin Chuxia? In fact, when she learned about Lin Chuxia's pregnancy, she was angry at first, but then she became happy. A woman will inevitably become fat and ugly after pregnancy. So, will she be able to reap the benefits by then? Joe Mikang is indeed not that superficial, but can he not get tired of looking at a yellow-faced woman every day? She also decided to change her strategy and use her own efforts and achievements to win Joe Mikang's favor. Call her stubborn or stupid, but she has always believed in him. It's a pity that the plan she once had is getting further and further away from her. She is afraid that she will never see him again for the rest of her life. And the strange thing is that she doesn't hate him at all when he treats her like that. Squeak. With a sudden break, Yamiru's head hit the seat in front, and stars suddenly shot out in front of her eyes. When she raised her head, she found Zohai pointing a gun at the driver, staring stubbornly at the man sitting in the passenger seat. You. Yamiru looked surprised. How did you do it? Zohai glanced at her eagerly. Miru, I will not let you go to that place. You are my woman, and I will never let you suffer that kind of hardship. At this moment, the man in the passenger seat had already got out of the car. Zohai glanced at the driver lightly. Get out of the car. The driver obediently lifted his legs and got out of the car. However, the moment his feet hit the ground, his body slammed forward and his head hit Zohai's head hard, and he easily fired Zohai's gun. The driver snorted coldly, "You want to kidnap me?" The co-pilot came over with a rope, tied Zohai up neatly, and then threw him behind the seat. When Zohai came to his senses, the car had already driven out for a long time. He was tied up and thrown behind. He felt that his whole body was about to be scattered, but the corners of his lips curled up happily. An hour later, looking at the three people lying in the car, Zohai smiled happily. He threw the driver and co-pilot out, and then covered Yamiru's nose with a wet towel with added ingredients. After a while, Yamiru woke up faintly. Zohai looked at her as if he was taking credit. "Miru, wherever you want to go, I will take you there." It took a while before Yamiru came to her senses. She looked at Zohai in disbelief. "How did you do it? Have you forgotten what I study?" "This is not difficult for me." Zohai scratched his head shyly. "However, I still have to practice my skills better in the future, otherwise, I still won't be able to protect myself." "You." Yamiru glanced at the two men hiding on the ground. "Will they die?" Zohai shook his head. "No, they will wake up automatically after 3 hours. "That's good." Yamiru breathed a sigh of relief. "Although I'm not satisfied with what my grandfather did, I don't want to kill them, let alone make you a murderer." "Don't worry, I won't do anything illegal. I just want to rescue you." "I can't let you die." Zohai asked again. "Where are we going now?" "Go back." After hesitation, Yamiru looked at him. "Have you been following him from the beginning?" "Of course not." Zohai started the car and made a U-turn before continuing. "You are always away when I call." Later, your grandfather finally answered the phone and said that if I have anything to do, I can tell him directly. Relating the past events, I knew you must have been punished. I thought you had been sent abroad again, so I asked my connections to find out which country you went to. As a result, there was no record of you going abroad at all. I used all the connections I could use to finally find out where you were going, so I took a shortcut to chase you. Last night, while you were eating, I hid under the car. Miru, no matter what you do next, I will help you. I, Zohai, have said that I will recognize you for the rest of my life. No matter whether it's a knife or a frying pan, as long as you ask me to do it, I will do my best to satisfy you. You." After a pause, Yamiru sighed. "Zohai, I'm very touched that you did this, but I don't deserve it. I think it's worth it. In this world, you are the only one worthy of me doing this." When Zohai said this, his tone was particularly firm. For a moment, Yamiru was really moved. Until now, no man, including Joe Mikang, had been so unconditionally nice to her. However, it was only for a moment that she regained her composure. However, the way the other party treated her made her feel a rare sense of guilt, and she simply said, "Zohai, I didn't really like you. At that time, I wanted to I am with you because I know that your brother and Lin Chuxia were admitted to the same school. My intention was for you to convince your brother to help deal with Lin Chuxia. Later, when I learned that you couldn't do this, I became cold towards you. I believe you should feel this. My reputation in the outside world is not good, but that is not because I really like. The reason why I did it was for Joe Mixang, and to be with Huang Xinlong, I was to help Joe Mixang. Even though I felt sick when I saw Huang Xinlong, for the sake of Joe Mixang's safety, I forced myself to marry him and become his wife. Although Joe Mixang didn't appreciate it, I don't regret it. I told you that I hate Lin Chuxia. This is absolutely true, because she did steal my happiness. I entered 401 and stayed with Huang Baoquan, all for revenge against Lin Chuxia. It's a pity that in the end, I didn't hurt Lin Chuxia, but I was embarrassed. I admit that my love was stupid and undignified. I hurt myself all over for the so-called love, but I still enjoyed it. Not that. With me like this, why should you waste your time and feelings anymore? Especially, I have been using you from the beginning, and I am telling you now because I don't want a man who is really good to me to be hurt again. Josei, I'm very happy to meet you. No matter what happens in the future, thinking about this period will make me feel very warm. After a pause, she sighed again, send me to the capital, and you can take the car back to your work by yourself. I will do the rest by myself. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 842. How can that work? Without thinking, Josei rejected Yamiru's proposal. If I leave you alone now, will I still be a human being? Moreover, if I really have the intention you said, I won't. I came all the way to save you. You can give everything for the one you love, and I can give everything for the one I love. Why do I like you so much? Because we are basically the same kind of people. Don't worry, no matter what happens in the future, I will not regret the choice I made today. I am willing to make you happy, even if it costs my life. Josei. For a moment, Yamiru didn't know what to say. You don't need to persuade me, and you don't need to feel sorry for me. If you are willing to let me help you, if you are willing to let me accompany you in the most difficult time, I will be very, very happy. You know, I used to look down on other people when they were in love, and I felt that I would never do something so worthless. Now I understand that a person cannot understand what love is until he meets the person he truly likes. Compared with many people who get married because of marriage, I think I am happy. At the very least, I have met a woman I like in my life and helped her. This is enough. Miru, what I said are my truest thoughts. Trust me and let me stay with you all the time, okay? Hey. Yamiru let out a long sigh and turned her gaze outside the car. Actually, I am a selfish person. I care more about my own thoughts and what I want to get. I have always valued others' contributions. I accept it calmly, but this time, you made me feel particularly guilty. I grew up being pampered by my parents, and my grandparents treated me well. Even if they banish me later, even if they send me away this time, my actions have indeed touched their bottom line. So, no matter what, I have to admit that I am a child who was pampered and grew up. However, when facing you, I know that no one has ever been so kind to me, and no one has ever pampered me like this. My family, there's no way I can compare with you. Even if I have a heart of stone, I cannot ignore what you have done. If I had met you when I first returned to China, I would have given up my obsession and developed a good relationship with you. It's a pity. He sighed again. Yamiru looked at Josei. It's a pity that we met at the wrong time. So, listen to me and let me go when you get to the capital. If you don't want me to feel guilty for the rest of my life, just listen to me. Since you like me, just listen to me. Okay. No. Can you stop being so stubborn? Cannot. Josei. Yamiru felt powerless for the first time. As she said herself, she was actually a selfish person who could not easily develop feelings for a person, could not easily feel guilty towards others, and could not think about others easily. But this time, she really wanted to think about this man. She got close to him just to use him, even though they didn't get along for a long time. She saw everything he had done, and she sincerely hoped that he could have a better future. She knew her grandfather's temper very well. Since she planned to send her to that place, she would never let her go easily. Now, she had escaped halfway. I believe her grandfather would know the news soon, and he would definitely send someone by then. Come and get her. After that, her fate was still sent to that place. So, Josei, who helped her, would not only be disliked by her grandfather, but also hated by the Zhou family. She was very aware of Zhou Jiang's status in the Zhou family. If something like this happened, he might not even be a member of the Zhou family. The servants are no better. Also, because of her, her father, who was already determined to be the head of the family, lost the right to become the head of the family. She didn't want Zhou Hai's father to end up with the same result as her own father. To be honest, even she herself is not used to thinking about someone so much, but that's really what she thinks now, or is this true heart for heart? She even considered whether to take the opportunity to knock Zhou Hai unconscious, and then do what she wanted to do. But then she rejected her idea. With Zhou Hai's temperament, even if he was knocked unconscious by her, he would definitely look for her. If he couldn't find her, he would definitely look for Lin Chuxia or Zhou Mikang. This is her grudge, and she wants to resolve it herself. Although when she thought deeply, she knew that she could not blame Lin Chuxia for being where she was today, but she could not accept Lin Chuxia's happiness calmly. I have made countless assumptions and concluded that if it were not for Lin Chuxia, she would have at least half the chance of becoming Zhou Mikang's wife. It was Lin Chuxia who completely ruined her dream. So, she can't be blamed. Her inexcusability. I'm very happy to be with you after a long silence, Zhou Hai emphasized. Yamiru looked at him. What do you like about me? I just like you, for no reason. Zhou Hai hesitated and said, actually, when you started to approach me, I was really proud, thinking that it was my own excellence that attracted you. However, in the process of getting along with you, your hot and cold temper gradually made me doubt my own judgment. Then, when you asked Zhou Zhang to help get closer to Lin Chuxia, I guessed the reason why you were so good to me. Ordinarily, I should be angry, but I actually think this is a normal thing. Not only am I not angry with you, I also feel that I should do my best to help you. To tell you the truth, my brother and I used to have a very good relationship. From childhood to adulthood, I would always protect him wherever I could, and he would never be stingy when he could help me. We basically never had any conflicts between brothers, but this time because he didn't help and always tried to persuade me to separate from you, he and I were on the verge of breaking up. I know very well that he actually went to college to give me a buffer time. Although he was admitted, he had no real intention to go to school and take the exam. It was just an answer sheet to submit to the elders. In particular, the Zhou family is now in a delicate period. We are two brothers. He is a strong supporter of my father. This is for sure. My mistakes and his departure have made my father worse. But even so, he did not change his decision. You know, this may mean that he cannot be the head of the Zhou family, and our family will be suppressed by other families in the future. He has had a reluctance to admit defeat since he was a child. He should have fought, but he didn't. That means that he values the relationship between us brothers more than anything else. Although I didn't listen to him and had a very tense argument with him, I knew what he was thinking and I was very grateful to him. But it was absolutely impossible for me to leave you. I am telling you this because I hope you understand that I am willing to do anything for you. I am very happy and honored to have such a relationship. For this reason, it doesn't matter if your father and your brother lose the opportunity to be the head of the family. Yes. Yamiru stopped talking again. Looking at her in the rearview mirror, Zhou Hai said, actually, we are all selfish people. We all only care about our own preferences and ideas. However, although the truth is clear, it is impossible to correct it. Whether you accept it or not, I just like you so much. Regardless of whether you are using me or not, I still like you so much. If you find a way to throw me away, then what I do next may make you feel even more guilty. So, if you really want to be good for me, then let me accompany you to accomplish what you want to accomplish. As for the future, let's see how it goes, okay? Okay. Yamiru finally nodded and looked at the other party with a wry smile. It's rare that I want to be a good person, but you don't appreciate it. Hey, now I feel that there is nothing wrong with my persistence. Look at you, it is my mirror, but I feel that although my persistence was right, it was not worth it. Yes, if you have such an idea, it means you are mature. Zohai smiled at her, maybe one day we can become a couple of gods and gods. Yamiru smiled and turned her eyes to the outside of the car. This love was so heavy that she couldn't bear it. She threw it away, but she couldn't bear it, so she just took it one step at a time. Maybe Zohai is right, having too many worries will only make everyone suffer, so it's better to just let nature take its course. Thinking about her feelings for Joe Mixang, in fact, she doesn't regret her actions too much until now. She was the one who sorry for him first, and it was indeed her who went too far. Therefore, no matter how he treats her now, he should treat her as he should. Or, this is the so-called bad fate. Ever since Huang Sui reminded Zhou about Zhou, the elders of the Zhou family and Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe had been particularly nervous in early summer. Every day when school was over, they would rush to the school gate to greet him. Even though they knew that Zhou Mikang had made careful arrangements and that Chu Xia was safe, they still felt uneasy. Chu Xia herself didn't care, she believed in Zhou Mikang's ability. Moreover, she also hopes that this matter will be settled quickly, otherwise, it will be too annoying to be involved in this and that again and again, without saying anything. Of course, she also told Zhou about this matter. After all, Zhou was Zohai's younger brother. Since they had already talked about it thoroughly before, it was not necessary to talk more thoroughly. Besides, according to Zhou, Zohai is also a kind-hearted, stubborn, and extremely talented child. He just fell into Yamiru's scheme and was confused. If he can be pulled back in time, he may be able to do more for the country. Maybe I can add another pillar. Who hasn't made mistakes when they were young? You have to give them a chance to make corrections, right? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 843. Waiting will make time pass very slowly. For Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe, the past few days have really been like years. Even if their daughter and son-in-law analyze the matter to them over and over again, the couple still cannot really put their minds at ease. Calm down. Every day when their daughter goes to school, the couple's hearts are aroused. When they see their daughter at noon, they can relax for a short time. When their daughter goes to school in the afternoon, they raise their hearts again. Only when school is over can they truly feel relieved. Down, but the next day, it was the same. Living in such fear, the couple lost weight as fast as they could see. Chu Xia felt terribly distressed, but she had said what needed to be said countless times and there was nothing she could do. First release. What she is looking forward to most now is for Zohai to show up quickly and settle the matter quickly. Otherwise, her parents will have to be physically exhausted, especially her father. If the old disease relapses, it will be in trouble, therefore, it has developed to this day. In early summer, I was just looking forward to Zhou appearing as quickly as I was looking forward to the stars and the moon. Embarrassment. Zhou Mikang did not lie to her, let alone everyone, because when she returned home from school that day, Chu Xia received a call from Zhou Mikang, saying that Zohai had been controlled by his people, so that she could rest assured. Originally, I had nothing to worry about. Chu Xia chuckled, I believe in your ability. If you can't even protect me, you, the teacher, are too much of a loser, aren't you? That's true, but... Zhou Mikang's voice revealed a faint smile, do you really believe me so much? Do you think I'm teasing you? Although the other party couldn't see it, Chu Xia still rolled her eyes, does someone like you still need to coax to improve your self-confidence? By the way, let me tell you, Yamiru was also controlled. Jo Mikang sighed softly, and told Zohai in detail how he rescued Yamiru and went all the way to the capital to settle accounts with Chusia. Yamiru wants to come to me to settle a score. Chusia was speechless. That means that now, Yamiru still blames me for her misfortune. That's basically it. Jo Mikang, what kind of vision do you have? How can you be able to marry anyone? If you had really married a woman like this back then, would the Jo family have been tortured to death? Yes, yes, I have trouble recognizing people, I know. You know what you know. Chusia replied angrily, although it's all in the past, this matter always involves me and it's not over. You'd better handle it quickly this time. If she appears in front of me again, I won't let her go regardless of whether she really plotted against me or pretended to plot against me. You said it was because of her that caused this bad thing these days. How are you all living in fear? My dad's leg injury hasn't healed yet. If it gets really serious, who should I go to settle the score with? Although my grandparents and mother said they were not worried, were they not worried when they stretched their necks to wait for me every day? I don't care if she doesn't understand, as long as it affects me. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a long time, and then Jo Mikang's voice came, "Don't worry, I will handle it smoothly this time. Now, I will rush over and you wait for my final result." Then what? Chusia coughed lightly, "I'm just angry at you, I don't really want you to do anything. If you come here again just 2 days after you go back, will you make the leaders unhappy? After all, this is a private matter, so don't keep going back and forth like this. Why don't you just leave Yamiru to his family to deal with it? As for Zohai, I want to talk to him once. Can you arrange it?" After thinking for a while, Jo Miksang said, "Let's do this. I will send Yamiru directly to the place where she should be sent, Zohai. I will arrange for you to meet him. After talking, we will consider how to deal with it." Bar. Okay, Chusia agreed happily, "You should arrange to meet as soon as possible. If you can, go there tonight. Otherwise, the elders will not be comfortable at all." "Okay, I'll call you later." "Chusia, Mr. Jo is so kind to you." Yang Xiaoli, who came back with Chusia, looked at him with envy. "I can't imagine that such a serious man can be so caring. When you get married, Brother May will be so considerate to you." The matter was about to come to an end. Chusia was in a particularly good mood, so he looked at her with a smile. "He was very domineering when we started. I didn't have any human rights or nothing like Brother May, who will discuss everything with you, so just be content. If possible, I don't want him to discuss everything with me." Yang Xiaoli looked at Chusia seriously. Equality and respect are indeed important, but in relationships, sometimes, a man's domineering attitude towards you means of loyalty and single-mindedness. The teacher has been domineering to you from the beginning, which means that he absolutely fell in love with you at first sight, and it is absolutely necessary for you. You are so much younger than him. If he is not more domineering, what if you become someone else's girlfriend? But what to do, right? Mei Yitong is different. It was me who first expressed my affection for him, and he passively accepted the relationship. Therefore, as long as there is any trouble, he will have the intention to quit. Of course, he said that he was doing it for my sake, but had he ever thought about what I wanted? Is his so-called consideration for me really what I need? I believe that true love should be love as soon as you fall in love, that is, you should be with the other person regardless of your own safety. Even if your life is going to end tomorrow, you should be together well today instead of quitting early to fulfill the other person's needs. I agree with what you said, but Brother May. After a pause, Chusia smiled sheepishly. Forget it, I won't persuade you. In fact, you know best what's going on between you. Brother May is right. It's all right and wrong, so I don't bother to find reasons for him. In short, we are friends. No matter what you do, I will support you. If you need Joe Mikang to help you communicate, just tell me and I will definitely let him help you. That's pretty much it? Yang Xiaoli scratched her head in confusion. People are so elusive. Originally, I felt quite happy to be with Mei Yitong. However, seeing Mr. Zhou's thoughtful care and love for you, I gradually felt that the relationship between me and him may not be love, but just because I took the initiative and he accepted me when he was old enough. I can't help but not mind being ignored by him all my life, so now I'm a little undecided and don't know what to do next. Chu Xia stared at her. Do you want to hear my sincere words? Yang Xiaoli nodded, of course. Don't compare your own feelings with other people's feelings. Everyone has different personalities and different experiences, so the way they get along with each other is naturally different. No matter how good the relationship between you is, and no matter how much Brother May loves you, if you always compare other people's feelings, you will not be happy, because what you see is the happiest side of others. Thinking about it, Yang Xiaoli nodded, that's right. When you quarrel and get awkward, you will definitely not do it in front of me, and you will definitely not tell me afterwards. I only see happiness, right? Chu Xia looked at her with a dark look. Okay, although the chance of what you mentioned happening to both of us is basically very small, it can still be regarded as one. Yang Xiaoli's eyes widened. What do you mean? You two have never had a quarrel. He is so much older than me. Do you think we can quarrel? Chu Xia looked depressed. But, can you understand the feeling of one person yelling at the other person and not picking up the fight? I understand. After a pause, Yang Xiaoli smiled mischievously. I understand that you are just spoiled and spoiled. Early summer. Okay, I'm just teasing you. I know how you feel. In fact, sometimes I have the same situation with Mei Yitong. I am so anxious that I yell at him, but he seems to be coaxing me. Children just don't accept the call at all. At that time, I really hope that he can quarrel with me happily. At the very least, he can let me understand his thoughts instead of me just guessing and hastily. Just like this time, he suddenly cut off contact because he said it was for my own good. I originally said to just ignore him. As long as he doesn't contact me, I will definitely ignore him. However, I felt that if I left him alone, he might never contact me, and I was afraid that you would laugh at me, so I had to call him secretly. Then, I wrote him a long letter, telling him my thoughts truthfully, hoping that he would cherish the fate between us and not regret it later. After receiving my letter, he replied. In the letter, he told me a lot of reasons, saying that I was too young and that if anything happened to him, he would be sorry for me. I told him, there are no young or old people on the road to hell. If everyone thinks so, then there is no need for a partner or marriage. There are several couples in this world who go to hell together at the same time on the same year, month, and day, right? Anyway, I have discovered that in a relationship, the one who takes the initiative should always take the initiative. No matter you are a man or a woman, if the other party accepts it passively, it will never change. Yang Xiaoli scratched her head in embarrassment. I'm also a chatterer, and I came up with such a long string while talking. Hee, don't take it to heart. Anyway, you two are sure. It won't be like this. Okay, if you are upset, just tell me. Friends are meant to help each other solve problems. This problem solving does not necessarily have to be concrete. Sometimes talking and comforting when you are in a bad mood also count, right? Yes, Yang Xiaoli nodded happily. Sometimes I am holding back so much that I want to talk to a few of them. People in school are so talkative that I really can't find a chance to talk. Fortunately, I have you. Otherwise, maybe one day I will be so depressed that I become nervous. Even if it is more serious, it is possible that one day I will develop like Yamiru. After saying this, she realized that she spoke too quickly, so she smiled sheepishly. not knowing how can I round things out. Rs. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 844. Chapter 500. There is no danger, it's a life guarantee resisting the desire to overwhelm the other party to rectify the law on the spot, Zhou Mikang answered with some difficulty. Following the other person's uncomfortable look, Chu Xia slipped back into bed and smiled proudly at the other person. Isn't it hard? Yes. Zhou Mikang smiled at her, violently opened the quilt, and stretched his claws towards the culprit who had just seduced him. Don't. Zhou Mikang interrupted her. You want surgery, I know. As he said this, the movements of his hands did not stop, moving down from the top of his chest little by little. Chu Xia was so frightened that she quickly begged for mercy. Wrong, I was really wrong just now. Zhou Mikang raised his eyebrows. Really? Really? Chu Xia nodded repeatedly. I promise I won't tease you anymore. I really won't tease you anymore. Please forgive me. I'm sure I'll scare you. Zhou Mikang grabbed the quilt and covered her up. Are you awake? Then let me tell you something. Zhou Mikang sat up. I have been cooperating with Huang Sui's work during this period, and I may have to work with her for a period of time after the year. Huang Sui. Chu Xia sat up wrapped in quilt, staring at him with big eyes. Come, tell me carefully, why did you two go together? Is it because she didn't let you write to me and call me? You also told me about the two-nation model. I was the first to propose the establishment of the girls' medical team, so I was also responsible for the pre-war medical care. Huang Sui was the specific person in charge of pre-war medical care. Of course she had a role in the formulation of the regulations, but it was me who proposed not to write or make phone calls, not her. Before everything is confirmed, I don't want anyone from the Huang family to get involved. Regardless of whether it's a villain or not, I can't take that risk. My brothers' lives are in my hands, and I must be responsible for them. The situation happened so suddenly that I didn't have time to tell you. Moreover, I must do it when I put it forward, so when it was brought up, I cut off all contact with myself. So that's it? Chu Xia looked him up and down. Although I'm not very smart, I'm not stupid either. In principle, you can't tell me what you said, right? Yes. Zhou Mikang smiled at her, but I have to tell you. You must also know what others don't know. There are some things I still need your advice on. How about it, Comrade Lin Chuxia, are you willing to do it? My personal informant. Okay. I do. Chu Xia nodded seriously. I understand what you mean. You don't want me to misunderstand, don't worry. I won't misunderstand. I believe in you, just like you believe in me. I really want your help. When you have time in the next few days, you can tell me in detail what you know about this war. I will deploy in advance and we must minimize casualties. Okay, Chu Xia nodded vigorously. She had a feeling of excitement. She never thought that she could be so useful, saving many people. Zhou Mikang moved closer to Chu Xia, holding her in his arms with the quilt. He liked this feeling of being loved and trusted, and throwing her into his arms felt like he owned the whole world. Zhou Mikang, please help Zhou Hanliang. Chu Xia looked up at him. It's almost the Chinese New Year. Daodu is very happy on the surface, but he must be very sad in his heart. Jun Daodu has never returned home. No, she always goes to her adoptive father and mother's house during breaks. She said she would also go to her adoptive father and mother's house to spend the new year, but it's not like she doesn't have her biological parents, so how can she feel comfortable? These days, when everyone brought up the topic of the new year, she remained silent and couldn't help her, so we didn't mention it much. Originally, I was worried about what would happen if you couldn't come back. I couldn't let her Do you really spend the Chinese New Year at your adoptive father and mother's house? Zhou Mikang sighed, okay, I will go talk to Deputy Commander Jun tomorrow. Hey, Chu Xia kissed him on the cheek, only success is allowed, no failure is allowed. As you command. He. Looking at the time, Chu Xia smiled and pushed him, I'm going to take a shower. Turn your back and throw your pajamas to me. So particular, Zhou Mikang muttered, but he turned around obediently and handed the pajamas to Chu Xia. When the other party entered the bathroom, he simply took a bath towel and went downstairs to wash up. Xiaojing and Sister Lu were busy making breakfast in the kitchen. When they heard a noise, they looked out and poked Sister Lu excitedly, what's wrong? Sister Lu turned to look at her and asked. The third young master is back. Xiaojing's eyes were full of light, I saw it. Really? Mrs. Lu chanted Umitba repeatedly and stretched her head to look outside, where are you going? Bathroom. Xiaojing smiled softly, Sister-in-law Lu, do you think we will have several more people in our family during the Chinese New Year next year? You're not very young, but you really have a lot to think about. Sister-in-law Lu shook her head in a funny way, and then couldn't help but nod, I will definitely add several more people next year, and the family will be really lively. Yes, seeing the way the old lady and the madam looked at other people's children made me panic. Don't worry about the old lady and my wife. What about you, what are your plans? Sister-in-law Lu looked at her with some worry, after this year, you are also 21. What did Zhang Ma say? Son, have you made up your mind? Sister-in-law Lu, I want to stay in the Zhou family. Xiaojing's eyes turned red, our family has been part of the Zhou family for generations. If I marry into the family of Zhang Ma's nephew, I probably won't be allowed to work in the Zhou family. No more. I can't bear it. Then are you willing to give up Zhang Jun? Xiaojing was hesitant and speechless. Zhang's mother's surname is actually Wang, and her husband's surname is Zhang. She came to this compound 5 years ago to work in the Liao family, and she is close to Mrs. Lu. Zhang Jun is Zhang's nephew. He is 28 years old this year. Company commander. Zhang Jun looks good, but he is not very tall and his face is a bit dark. Several girls he introduced to him thought they didn't like him because of these two qualities. 1 and 2 visits have delayed him to this extent. A few days ago, when he came to deliver something to Zhang Ma, he happened to meet Mrs. Lu and Xiaojing. As a result, he fell in love with Xiaojing at first sight, and then asked Zhang Ma to convey his thoughts to Xiaojing. Now, it's up to Xiaojing to decide whether to agree or not. If she agrees, Zhang Jun hopes to get married as quickly as possible. There is no one in Xiaojing's family. The Zhou family is her home, and the Zhou family is her relatives. Otherwise, she would not have happened because she disliked Ying for abandoning the Zhou family, so she deliberately scolded Ying. She was serious. I want to maintain this home from the bottom of my heart, but sometimes I use the wrong method. So, for Xiaojing, it is a very good opportunity to have such a man who likes her and wants to marry her. However, if she marries Zhang Jun, it may not be suitable for her to stay in the Zhou family as a nanny. Zhang's mother made it clear that Zhang Jun's parents were very opposed to being a nanny. Although Zhang's mother made more money in the Liao family than Zhang Jun's parents, they still felt that it was embarrassing for her to do this. Zhang's mother also said that because Zhang Jun is older, they don't mind if their daughter-in-law is a nanny, but they will never accept it after they get married. This is a dilemma. Of course she wants love and marriage, but if she leaves the Zhou family, she will be a duckweed without roots, and there is a reason that she can never say. Oh, you should decide earlier. When Zhang Ma saw me yesterday, she urged me again. She said that during the new year, someone must introduce Zhang Jun to his girlfriend. If you don't hurry up and let others take the lead, you won't be able to do it. I regret it. Sister-in-law Lu, if it were you, what would you choose? Xiaojing asked the question to sister-in-law Lu. I've really thought about this. After a pause, Mrs. Lu said, if it were me, I would talk to the old lady and ask her to give her an idea. Xiaojing, it's impossible for you to stay unmarried for the rest of your life. The old lady is an enlightened person, she will give you good ideas. I don't dare. Xiaojing twisted her clothes and was about to cry. Is it because of what happened to Ying or before? Sister-in-law Lu sighed, you are just a child. If the old lady is really angry, how can she let you stay here? Tell me the truth, what are you doing to third young master? Madam, do you have any complaints? No. Xiaojing shook her head vigorously, really no. Xiaojing, Mrs. Lu, my eyesight is not dazzled. I have clearly seen your thoughts. But, people, you have to figure out who you are. Whether you have the third young lady or not, you have no part in it. Sister-in-law Lu. Xiaojing looked at Aunt Lu in horror, not knowing what to say. I know you have no idea now, but when the Lin family in Beijing has not found the third young madam and her family, do you dare to say that you have no idea? Mrs. Lu looked at her seriously, I'm reminding you now, I just don't want you to do something wrong. Women are most likely to make emotional mistakes. If you miss Zhang Jun this time, can you guarantee that you will meet someone better than him in the future? If you can't meet her and stay in the Zhou family, can you guarantee that you can control your own heart? Xiaojing, neither the current nor the former third young madam can compare to you. Although she originally came from a rural area, where do you have her knowledge and talent? Moreover, why does the third young master like her? Have you ever thought about it? The third young master has never been a person who only cares about appearance. Otherwise, he would not have married the third young master's wife until now. If I were you, if I had such an opportunity, I would marry myself off and stay here. Who can guarantee that I will be willing to watch other people's happiness for the rest of my life? If you make the wrong move, you may regret it for the rest of your life. Why do you have to tell me? Xiaojing murmured with a pale face, I really plan to keep the secret in my heart and never let others know about it. To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 845. The moment his side touched the early summer, Xueqiheng's eyes lit up. He had a tall figure, thin black crescent eyebrows, watery phoenix eyes, thin double eyelids, straight little nose, red lips. Although her skin color is a little sickly white and her body is too thin and frail, if she is married to his family and raised well, she will definitely be his favorite type. The girl with thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a strong body that everyone admired had never been his cup of tea. He chose Renyu because she was more delicate than most girls. But compared with Lin Chuxia in front of him, Renyu was not. Is there anything else to watch? Feeling the intense scrutiny from his eyes, Chu Xia frowned slightly. Following her gaze, she saw a tall, strong man with handsome features and a slightly ruffian look staring straight at her. She knew it without asking. Who was that? There was undisguised disgust in his eyes, and he glared at the other person fiercely. The fastest updates are all on SI, Novel Network. He. It was obviously disgust, but in Xueqiheng's eyes, it turned into coquettishness. He chuckled unconsciously. Xue Ligang, who was greeting Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan, quietly stepped on him. Qiheng, follow Chu Xia out for a walk. Wait, Zhao Yulan pulled her daughter behind her, we came here to explain things clearly. Chu Xia is still too young to be in a hurry to find her husband's family. Moreover, we also want to join a wealthy family like the Xue family. If you don't come, your trip will be in vain, I'm sorry. Ha! Wang Maihua couldn't help but sneer. Just when she was about to say something, Xue Ligang pinched her hard, so she had to suck in the cold air and swallow the next words. Yulan, are you still angry with me? Xue Ligang waved his hand, Uncle Lin and Aunt Lin have forgiven me, why are you still worried about that? The reason why we are getting married now is for the happiness of our children. It has nothing to do with our affairs. My wife can see it clearly and understand it clearly. Why can't you understand it? Wang Maihua quickly answered, yes, Yulan, if Chu Xia marries her into our family, I will definitely treat her well. This child is so painful to have. I don't have a daughter, so I will treat her as my own daughter. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but when I said the word pain at the end, there was a bit of gnashing of teeth. No matter who it was, they wouldn't be too willing to be forced to speak, right? Father, mother, are you dissatisfied with me? Xue Qiahong stepped forward and stared at Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan with earnest eyes. I like Chu Xia and will treat her well. Don't worry. You asked us. Zhao Yulan pointed to her nose, and then to Lin Baohe. Call us dad and mom. Yes, I am engaged to Chu Xia today, so aren't you my parents? I will also treat you two elder brothers well. From now on, the things I have in my house will definitely be from you two elders, the things I have will definitely be from early summer, and the things I don't have will definitely be from early summer. Listening to her son calling other people father and mother, expressing his determination in such convoluted words, Wang Maihua felt her heart ache. Her son was trying to please her love rival. Can her heart not hurt? No matter how her husband explained it, subconsciously she still felt that the main reason for choosing the Lin family was Zhao Yulan. Have you finished expressing your opinions? The person opening the product this time was Lin Baojuan. She had been silent since she brought her second brother and his family through the door. This was the first time she spoke. Wan, what are you talking about? Mr. Lin glared at his daughter. Go to your sister-in-law's house to see how the work is going, and help her. After Lu Maifeng was passed out, Zhao Qian was passed out. This was something she had expected, and girls who were related to Zheng Sanqiao were passed out. Mr. Lin and his family switched to Mr. Lin's sect. In the past few days, Lin Beijiang and Zheng Sanqiao have been selling to Mr. Lin a lot. Of course, the key reason for his good sales is that he is worried that Mr. Lin and Mrs. Lin will really move to live with them. For them, they would rather Lin Baohe and his family live there than the old man and the old lady move there. To put it bluntly, the old couple are getting older and need someone to take care of them. It is a matter of time before they live there. In that house at home, can they leave it alone when the time comes? So at this time, they would rather give away the money and send it away. Mr. Lin and Mrs. Lin were satisfied. Early this morning, Zheng Sanqiao took Lu Maifeng at home to prepare for the engagement banquet. Lu Maifeng was responsible for taking care of the children. However, when she asked Lu Maifeng for help, there might be some hope in her subconscious. Father, mother, how can you use me? Lin Baojuan did not respond according to Mr. Lin's words, but stared at the old couple with displeasure. I am your biological daughter, and my second brother is your biological son. How could you take advantage of my relationship with my second brother and make me do that kind of thing? What nonsense are you talking about? Old Mrs. Lin grabbed her daughter's arm. On this special day, you kid, can you understand some things? Uncle Lin, Aunt Lin, what is going on in your family? Xue Ligong looked at Mr. Lin and Mrs. Lin's eyes with sternness. You brought up the matter of the marriage between the two families. Send a letter to let me know it was you who made us come here to get engaged. What is this thing about now? For those who don't know, you think that my Xue family is bullying others and came here to steal the bride. The second elder patted his conscience and asked, have I, Xue Ligong, ever forced myself on my second elder? Director, no, you misunderstood. Mr. Lin quickly winked at Lin Baohe. Baohe, on this big day, no matter how dissatisfied you are with Dad, you still have to celebrate the wedding first, okay? Mrs. Lin leaned forward and said, yes, Baohe, don't you just want that house? My father and mother have already promised to give it to you, so they must keep their word. Yo, did you come up with this idea? Chu Xia looked at the two old people with increasingly cold eyes. She was disrespectful to the elderly. Was she talking about them? It was obvious that she had done something wrong, but she was always looking for excuses and fig leaves for herself. Now she was 200% suspicious that her father was not the biological son of the couple. Otherwise, how could he be treated so differently? Lin Bao he sighed heavily and looked at Mr. Lin and Mrs. Lin with sad eyes. Father, mother, do you still want me as your son? Are you not letting Chu Xia and Shui Hong get engaged? From now on, I will not be your second oldest son. Thank you very much for your support. I am sorry that my discomfort has affected the update time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 846. In the past few days, when Nuan returned to her parents' home, there was only one update. Then why do you want to talk to me? Zhou sneered and stared straight at Chu Xia. If it's like what you said, will you waste your time looking for me? You are simply afraid that I will continue to avenge Yamiru, and that Yamiru will continue to seek revenge on you after she comes out. That's why you want to persuade me to give up fighting you. Do you think I am a fool who will believe you just by saying a few words? Let me tell you, I will never be fooled by you, so you'd better put your thoughts aside. You really impress me. After saying this, Chu Xia paused deliberately, and after Zhou showed a proud smile, he said, you can be considered the only one who can put gold on your face to this extent one serving. Do you want me to repeat what I said before? I came to see you and gave you this opportunity for the sake of your brother Zhejiang. If he hadn't mentioned the brotherly love between you since childhood, what do you think? Will I waste this time? You don't need to tell me what Yamiru said about me. I can imagine it. She always thinks that it is natural for her to steal husbands from others, so naturally she has to gild her shameless behavior. In fact, what I am most curious about is the reason why you are so devoted to Yamiru. If it is convenient, can you tell me and hear it? It is not in vain for me to come here. If I told you, would you let your husband let her go? I can't. Chu Xia shook her head without thinking. If you want to say it, just say it. If you don't want to say it, it doesn't matter. I will never force you. It's what you want to hear. I'm just giving you a chance to talk and a channel to vent. Chu Xia looked at him expressionlessly. I believe you are also very tired of persisting in this relationship, right? No one wants to hear your feelings about this relationship. I am willing to give you this opportunity for my emotional sympathy and understanding, so you should thank me, right? You are really thick-skinned. It's obvious that you want to know, and you even said you were doing me a favor. Zhou snorted dissatisfiedly. I won't tell you, I'll kill you. Well. Chu Xia looked at him speechlessly, not knowing what to say. This was really a child. Look at the tone and expression of his words. Just like a young child. I have fulfilled my obligations. You can take care of yourself. Chu Xia stood up and wanted to go out. Zhou looked confused. When she reached the door, he quickly shouted, you come back first. What are you doing? Chu Xia turned around and looked at him indifferently. I like people who are straightforward. If you want to play tricks, you should find someone else. Zhou looked at her eagerly. How is Myra doing now? A smile appeared on Chu Xia's lips. Don't you already know? Don't you have anything to say? Zhou's face turned red with embarrassment, and he coughed awkwardly. I mean, how is her current condition? Then how do I know? I've never seen her. I came to see you just to give Zhejiang an explanation. Chu Xia spread her hands. Do you have any other questions? Do you like your husband? Certainly. I like Yamiru too. I know. Chusia turned back and sat down, looking at him quietly. After hesitating for a moment, Zohai continued, I decided to tell you what happened between us, not because I am afraid of you, but because I want you to understand the truth and help us willingly. Chusia nodded, okay, if you can impress me, I will help. Myru actually had no intention of doing anything to you. On our way back, she had already decided to leave after seeing you for a chat. In the end, you arrested her. She was actually quite unjust. Yet Chusia responded expressionlessly and said nothing more. You ask me why I trust her, right? It's because she is really a very simple and kind-hearted girl. When she first met me, she wanted to plot against me. However, she didn't really calculate that when I went to rescue her, she took the initiative to tell me everything and ask me to leave and not be dragged down by her. If she was what you think she was, do you think she would make such a decision? Of course, there is something wrong with her getting caught in the relationship between you and your husband. But think about it, she was the one who fell in love with Mr. Joe first. If Mr. Joe was willing to treat her well, how could she betray him? For a girl who doesn't know anyone in a foreign country, it's normal for her to go astray, right? Everyone makes mistakes sometimes. Why can men be forgiven for making mistakes in this area, but women can't? Moreover, she has always been pretending to be your husband in her heart, otherwise, she would not have become more and more extreme. The corners of Chusia's lips curled up unconsciously. This man actually knew Yamiru's extreme personality, which was really beyond her expectation. She has been punished, and you should give her a chance, right? If she is sent back this time, she might really go to extremes. As long as she comes out by then, you won't be able to think about resting, so why not be more tolerant to her now and let everyone live in peace in the future, right? Chusia raised her eyebrows and looked at her, you have the final say. Zohai looked serious, I can help you persuade her. Chusia curled her lips, that's a bit loud, do you think you can persuade her? I try my best. What you mean is that you believe in her because you think she is pure and kind. And the so-called pure kindness is actually her cheating on her openly, right? No, Zhou Jiang's face turned red, you are distorting the facts. I didn't say that Yamiru was right to cheat. I just said that the situation at that time was worthy of forgiveness. If you love someone, you must tolerate them. I love her, and of course I must believe her in everything. If Mr. Joe had treated her like me, she would definitely not be like this. Yet Chusia nodded. Joy filled Zohai's eyes, look, you also think what I said is right, right? You misunderstood, I haven't finished speaking yet. Chusia looked at him, Joe Mikang went to study abroad with her. If he did nothing every day and only stayed with her at home, do you think that was studying abroad? You yourself are also a top student. What do you mean is that when you find a girlfriend, you don't go to class, you don't care about anything, and you just stay with your girlfriend every day? Zohai looked serious, if she likes this, I will stay with her every day. What to eat? What to drink? Where is your social value? My family's conditions can afford to support me and hers. Chusia looked at him speechlessly, well, you have true love for her. Although the love is a bit inexplicable, she is also lucky to meet you. I'm lucky to meet her. Zohai still looked serious, after meeting her, I realized that girls can still be like this. She made me. He was thinking hard with a tangled look on his face. After a while, he said, she made me feel that besides studying, there are other things that are interesting. For example. After thinking for a while, Zohai said, I can't tell you a specific example. That is, before I met her, I only spent every day in the laboratory, but after I met her, I went to climb, went over mountains, went to exhibitions, and even went to the movies. Chusia had a dark line, Have you never climbed a mountain or seen a movie before? No, Josei shook his head. I think those are very boring things, not as interesting as what I do in the laboratory, but doing those things with Mairo, I find it particularly interesting. She can always make me happy, and she can always come up with all kinds of fun things, some of which I have never seen before. Others don't understand my ideas, but she does. Zhejiang and I are indeed very close, but there are some things that he doesn't understand about me. Although he is my younger brother, he always likes to teach me a lesson when we are together, but Mairo doesn't. Anyway, being with her is special. Comfortable. Or, this is because they really met each other, so in his eyes, the other party's advantages are advantages, and the other party's shortcomings are also advantages in his eyes. In this way, Yamiru doesn't know how to cherish it. You hated me before, Chusia asked. Well. Zohai nodded honestly, because you are the source of Mairu's pain. No matter what the reason is, I can't possibly think you are right. What now? Now. Zohai sighed, do you think I will change my view of you in just a short while? Still hate me? Not speaking means you are no longer sure, right? The main thing. Zohai looked confused. You are the first person to listen to what I said seriously, and you didn't laugh at me or ridicule me. I think you are not bad at heart. You've never had friends. Okay, I understand. Chusia looked at him clearly. This is not an era that attaches great importance to knowledge, so your genius is not taken seriously in the eyes of many people, but your efforts are not taken seriously in the eyes of many people. It's even ridiculous. Therefore, you are too lazy to communicate with them, including your relatives. As time goes by, the distance between everyone becomes farther and farther. When one day, someone suddenly is willing to approach you and is willing to listen to you about things that others are not willing to hear, you feel, the other person is your angel. If the other party does it intentionally, you will easily fall in love with her. In fact, you also know in your heart that some of what she said is false, but because of love, you don't want to doubt it. You have been doubted by others before, and you don't like that feeling. Therefore, you feel that you must absolutely believe in your lover, even if the other person is wrong. You must believe in what I said, right? Ours. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 847. Update 2. I like her, so of course I have to support her, no matter whether she is right or wrong. After a pause, Zohai added, of course, if she makes any mistakes, I will remind her later. Chusia looked at him funny, are you sure you can tell what is right and what is wrong? I don't want to talk to you. Zohai turned his head and snorted bitterly, his face tensed up. Are you hurting your self-esteem? Chusia smiled helplessly and sighed, actually, you are really quite simple and kind. It's a pity that you met her. Don't speak ill of her. Zohai turned around and glared at her, I have already said that I am lucky to have met her. If you speak ill of her again, you will be my enemy for the rest of your life. Oh, Chusia nodded, I take back my comment on you just now. In fact, you are just simple, not kind, and you are also very stubborn and can't listen to what others say. Okay, for this reason, I guess it's useless to say any more, so you can just do it yourself. Will you help her or not? How can I help? Chusia looked at him calmly, why should I help? You promised me that as long as I tell you what happened between me and Mairu, you will help me. The premise is that what you say must move me. After staring at him for a while, Chusia said, if I follow your theory, what I said to you should move you more. Now you should be focused on I want to persuade Yamiru to let go of her paranoia and live a good life. Of course, I am assuming that you can see her. Okay, you let me see her, and I will help you persuade her. Zohai looked at Chusia longingly, I promised to persuade her not to have any thoughts about your husband in the future. Why did you turn back again? Chuseok looked at him speechlessly. Oh, no wonder Zojang can't do anything to you. Your character is really too complicated. You have to cover up something that is obviously very simple. My eyes only follow my own path, and I grit my teeth and feel that I am the only one who is right. Then I admit that I was wrong now. Can you let me see Beauty? Otherwise, you can send me to her, and I will work hard with her. If we can come out alive, let's forget about it, okay? Do you know what you are talking about? Chuseok really had a headache now. She felt that the task she had taken on was too arduous. It was abnormal for Zohai to come out all at once. How could she persuade him? Of course I know, and I also know that there is an absolute narrow escape from death. It just so happens that for the Zhou family, I am a dispensable person. Once I leave, my dad and Zojang will not have so much pressure. A pause. Zohai continued, if I come out alive after the experience, maybe I won't be a burden to them. You can tell by looking at Zohai's expression that he is definitely not joking, and considering his character, it is indeed good to have some experience. Thinking of this, Chuseok stood up. I have no right to make a decision for you on this matter. Let's do this. I'll ask Zojang to come in and tell you that if he can promise you, I will help. He's here too. Chuseok didn't answer Zohai's words. Because she had already left the house, Zojang did come with Chuseok. After all, he was his biological brother, so he must be thinking about her. I picked him up when early summer came. Zojang has been worried since he went in early summer. It's not that he doesn't want to go in, but he is also worried that he and his brother will become more tense after going in. So what's the point of being so busy? Finally seeing Chuseok coming out, Zojang stood up quickly with a look of anticipation on his face. How was it? He is your brother, and you should basically know his character. Chuseok looked at him seriously. Now, he wants to practice with Yamiru, and I have no right to make the decision, so you go in and talk to him. Let's talk. What? Zojang almost jumped up, frowning tightly. He's not mistaken, right? What kind of magic did Yamiru cast on him to make him so determined? You go in, Chuseok said again. But Zojang stood still and said, what if he just can't listen? You know, he is locked up here because he injured the person who sent Yamiru to the base and helped Yamiru escape. If it wasn't for your sake, he would have reported it to the Zhou family. If he doesn't listen and insists on revenge for Yamiru, or wants to find Yamiru, then he may really have to find someone from the Zhou family. You'd better say hello to your dad in advance and be prepared. Prepare. I know. Zojang sighed and walked to the room where Zohai was detained. After meeting for more than a month, the two brothers were a little excited even though they had had conflicts before. It's a pity that despite being excited, Zohai's stubbornness will not change. Zojang's persuasion has no effect. Zohai still insists on finding Yamiru. Otherwise, he will keep causing trouble for Chuseok. To put it bluntly, this is simply a threat. Zojang used to think that his brother was a bit stubborn, but he never thought that he could be so stubborn. The key is that he is stubborn without distinguishing between right and wrong. This made him feel particularly disappointed when he looked at the other person. The relationship between the two brothers over the years was not as good as a woman they had only known for a few months. The key was that the woman was still a woman with corrupt moral character. Brother, you know, I can't make a decision for you on this matter. If you really want to do this, you must inform Grandpa and Dad. You know Dad's situation very well now. Think about how kind your parents have been to you since you were a child. At this time, can you bear to put a knife in their heart? Is it appropriate not only to lose the inheritance rights of the family head, but also to lose you? Anyway, we have you in the family. You are the hope of my parents. You are better looking than me, study well, and have strong abilities. From now on, it will be enough for the Zhou family to have you. Xiaozhang, let my brother live according to his own wishes, okay? My grandparents have never liked me, and they probably don't feel the same if I am more or less than me. So, you don't have to tell them about me. Just tell my parents and let them pretend that they didn't raise my son. If I can really come out alive by then, I will definitely be filial to them. Xiaozhang, since I was a child, I have never begged anyone like this. This time, I am begging you. Do you want me to kneel down for you? Saying this, Zhou Hai actually wanted to kneel on the ground. Zhou Zhang looked at him with a disappointed look on his face. You mean, my parents and I don't want her because of that woman, right? Zhou Hai lowered his head and said nothing. Is it worth it? Zhou Zhang asked unwillingly. To me, it's worth it. Zhou Hai looked at him seriously. Xiaozhang, I know that you all think that I don't distinguish between right and wrong, and I know all the shortcomings in Myru's character. Therefore, I have to be with her, otherwise, the hatred in her heart will become deeper and deeper. If she comes out one day, it will be a disaster for everyone. Now, as long as I am with her, accompanying her through the most difficult time, and with my persuasion in her ear, I believe that when we both come out, we will definitely be transformed. In fact, this idea had crossed my mind before, but I quickly rejected it. After all, I was not sure whether I would be able to come out alive by then. But after talking to Lin Chuxia just now, I feel that she is not a bad girl. So, let me take a step back. I promise that as long as I am with Myru, I will never let her do anything to hurt Lin Chuxia. Xiaozhang, you know my character best. As long as you say it, you will definitely do it. Go explain it to Lin Chuxia, otherwise she won't believe me. Yes, his brother knew it. At this point, Zhou Zhang knew very well that he could not hold his brother back. But the matter was too big, and he definitely couldn't make a decision for him. In the end, he had to compromise and promised him to discuss it with his parents. If their parents agreed, it would be as he wanted. When he said this, Zhou Hai's eyebrows were filled with happiness. Zhou Zhang was completely sure that his brother really loved Myru. No matter whether she was good or bad, he really loved her. It doesn't matter, my brother has been lonely since he was a child, or this is what he wants, so let him help him. Can we make a phone call here? Zhou Zhang asked Chuxia after leaving the door. Okay. Chuxia didn't ask much and took him to the office. A man in his 40s was inside. He smiled when he saw the two of them. Is there anything else you need help with? Chuxia smiled at him. Uncle Qin, it's really troublesome for you this time. Zhou Zhang wants to make a call, is that okay? Okay. The man known as Uncle Qin pushed the phone in front of him forward. Do you need me to avoid it? He said, looking at Zhou Hai. He had already told him about Zhou Zhang and Zhou Hai when Chuxia came here. Relation. Zhou Zhang quickly said, Uncle Qin, thank you, you don't need to avoid it. When Zhou Zhang returned to the room where Zhou Hai was detained, Zhou Hai looked at him nervously. My parents agreed, right? After a long silence, Zhou Zhang nodded. They said that if you really feel so happy, they will promise you, but you must also agree to a condition of them, do your best and come out alive. Okay, okay. Zhou Hai nodded hurriedly, I will definitely come out alive. When the time comes, I will bring my daughter-in-law to show them. Oh, would they want to see that daughter-in-law? Zhou Zhang secretly smiled bitterly. Although his parents agreed, how could they like Myru who made Zhou Hai make this decision? That night, Zhou Zhang and Zhou Hai's parents rushed over and tried their best to persuade them, but of course the result was the same as before. Regarding this, Chuxia expressed helplessness. Zhou Hai's stubbornness could probably be entered into the Guinness Book of Records.